My name's Tawnie. I'm 42 years old, and I wasn't raised in church, technically speaking. I was around church. I did go to church on Sundays, but I wasn't like raised in church. When I went home, church wasn't there. That just wasn't something in my life. I was only brought to me through my granny and aunts and uncles that were Southern Pentecostal. So they didn't cut their hair, they wore long skirts, but in my household, that wasn't my household. My household was a party house. It was, I can call sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There was no life of Christ being spoken into us. It was very negative sayings. I was raised to think that my worth was only what my father thought it was, and a lot of that wasn't anything worth anything. Everything I did was wrong. Things we did were stupid. Abuse was in my household. I watched my 5-year-old brother being picked up and thrown through a wall because he got a sad face on his weekly chart. I mouthed off or something and got backhanded, and I can remember I was probably 8, maybe, and I got smacked down a flight of steps, and I laid at the bottom of the steps and thought I was dying at one point. I could not catch my breath. I just was gasping for air, and he just stood at the top of the steps and just basically like, you deserved it. And my grandmother lived with us, and she was very Christian. I swear, if it wasn't for her, I think things would have been worse. She had an amazing testimony and spirit about her, but she lived with us, and she just would watch it. And there's not much she could have done. I mean, I grew up in Louisiana, in the bayous, basically Southern raising, and it was yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, thank you, please, you're gonna do it or else, type of childhood. I made this, eat it, or you get beat. So there wasn't love spoken to us. I honestly can't even remember the first time I ever remember my mom or my dad telling me that they loved me, or that I was a good child. That just wasn't spoken in my house. So that's just from growing up, and that at some point something had happened to me when I was a child, and it kind of just swept under the rug. And I was 13. I started having these nightmares, recurring nightmares, and I could just remember being in a rabbit housing. So back in Louisiana, rabbit is a thing that people eat. And, you have this big, huge, almost like a chicken house, but it's a rabbit house. And this is where you breed rabbits and stuff. And, we'd go and feed the rabbits. And I just remember this old man and myself, and it's like the same recurring nightmare happening. And he asked me to sit on his lap. And I could just remember in that nightmare that I just felt this uncomfortable feeling and this anxiety pop up, and I would wake up. This happened, and I would think happened for a few years, and I might even not have been 13. I might have been a little bit younger, but I remember when I was 15 years old. But I had asked my mom about it, and she was just like, oh, I don't know. That's something weird. I don't know what you're talking about. So my mom just like brushed it off. And then I had asked my dad one weekend, and he said, oh, yeah, you were touched as a kid by the neighbor. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you were touched by the neighbor. And I wanted to do something about it, but your mom didn't, because his mom or his wife was going through cancer. So like it just basically got washed under the rug. And no one just ever spoke of it. So it was like hush hush. And this, like, I guess had happened when I was 5 years old. So having this and not being, you know, validated or cared about or loved about it, I just kept having these nightmares. And I learned that there was already alcohol and drugs in my household anyway. So they're doing it. And then so I realized that I could go drink some alcohol, or my parents would have this little brown box, almost like a little tackle box, and it would sit on top of their waterbed. So me being much older, waterbeds were a thing, and I would climb on the waterbed and get this tackle box down, and they would have joints rolled. Joints were the thing that they smoked back then, and it was weed, and so I would just go and smoke the weed. So I started very young, already numbing the pain that I didn't know what it was as far as that goes, but I was numbing the pain of not having a loving household. Um, and so when I was 15, I started dating a guy, and I had already been drinking and doing drugs. I found out that speed was something I really loved. For some reason, when I did speed, it like wiped every thought. I didn't think. I had truly like numbed myself. So I had started snorting speed, and I had met this guy, well, man, that was, 25, 26. He was in the military. My mom knew. She was okay with me dating him. She allowed it. And for so many years, I just thought it was normal, that I had started dating this guy at 15. He took my virginity. Um, Willingly, I gave it to him, but as I've gotten older, it was that I was being groomed. It wasn't really necessarily willingly. I was made to think that if I didn't have sex with him, then I wasn't loving him. He made me think that that's the way you showed love to a man, was to have sex with them. So at 15, I gave my virginity to him, and um, he was in the military, so he was only stationed there for a short period of time, and then he left, and I was devastated. Um, at this point, I'm like, what? The only guy that I thought loved me, and I loved him, and I'd done everything he asked of me. My mom would let him stay over, um, left. So at this point, I was already on the military base, and they didn't know that I was technically 15. He obviously lied and told them I was 18, because he could get in lots of trouble if the military found out. So I would just go there on the weekends, and the only thing I knew to do was drink and party. And at this point, I was 16, so I was no longer 15. I was 16. And so that became my identity. My identity became, um, sorry to say, but the barracks whore at this point. Um, just soldiers knew. Get her coked up enough, get her drunk enough, and she'll do whatever you want her to do. So that was my identity for a long time. Um, and I just was numb. I don't think I ever really just felt anything but what I was told to feel. I was very easily manipulated at that time by men. Men controlled my life. At that time, Fort Knox, if anybody knows this area, was an open base. So it was easy to get on and off. You weren't being courted. You didn't have to have a pass. So it was very easy. You can come and go as you please. And so that's what I did. I would just go MIA and be on the post. And it was just normal to me. My mom was okay with it. I didn't have a curfew per se. My mom was my best friend. Um, and that's just it. She had got away from my dad and all of that. So I don't know if she didn't understand herself at this time when I was younger. This isn't her story either, but her story has a lot to do with my story. She came from a messed up childhood too. I mean, I have parents. Both of my parents came from just horrible backgrounds. My mom had a lot of stuff, so she was dealing with a lot of her own trauma. Same with my dad. His my pawpaw was horrible, beat them, and just it was that. So I think my parents were like, "Hey, we don't do you as our parents did to us." So it's those I did better than what my parents did. So it was just that. My dad's like, I didn't beat you with a two by four. I didn't hit you in the head with a hammer. No, you didn't do that. You made me kneel on rice for hours at a time. Corporal punishment was his thing. To this day, there's scars on my knees, and my kids will ask, and if I had to tell them, like, I had to get up and dig rice out of my knees and bleeding. So it's kneeled for hours on rice. Was made to go outside and do stuff out there in the heat of Louisiana, and I mean, don't get me wrong, there were good times, like there were. Can remember playing Twister as a kid and stuff like that, but and I just remember tons of people always at my house, and it was a party house. I mean, legitimately, everybody was always drinking. So that was another thing. Drugs and alcohol made everything happy. So I was already taught that if you want to be happy, you do drugs and alcohol. And that's it. There was people having sex in my house and just stuff like that. So that's what people, in my sense, was happy. The little bit of Jesus I did get was from my grandmother on Sundays and Wednesdays. And I mean, I knew of him, but again, why is it that he allowed this in my household? So that became my identity with God too, is being angry. As I got older, was like, if you're such an awesome God, then why is this happening to me? I didn't quite understand willpower from other adults around me until now that I've gotten older, that we have our own choices and God allows us to do that. And unfortunately, I was a child. I didn't have control over it, but the adults around me did, and they didn't protect me the way that they should have, or provided for me the way that they should have. So, it wasn't him, it was the people around me. And I do know that now, but it's been a road to get there. But my identity became alcohol, sex, and drugs, just as if it was laid out for me on a roadmap from my parents. Again, I had turned 18. I was a senior in high school. The only woman that kept me, I think, sane and any type of Christian understanding or pouring life and praying. My granny prayed all the time. Could remember sitting with her coffee and her journal and praying, and she'd be like, let me pray for you. And so my granny would pray over me, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to school, and I'd just be in the madness. But she did. She prayed, and and I know she had a testimony, and I just held on to that. The testimony I had, knowing who God was or of him, even though I was angry at him, was still my grandmother's testimony, was never mine. So I have fought with that too, because as I've gotten clean and sober and I've shared things online, my baptismal story, I got to share a little short video. It got posted on Facebook, which I am 100% fine with, but fortunately I have family that haven't come to terms with their own stuff. But they got to hear it, and they're like, you said you didn't go to church. I'm like, well, I did, but I didn't, and they said, you didn't know who God was. I didn't know who God was. What I knew was my grandmother's. So that was like an inherited testimony or understanding. That's not mine. That was hers. So again, I had to explain that to them. It wasn't mine. This is mine. Mine is, I didn't know who he was, and I was angry at him. I didn't go to church every Sunday. I didn't praise him like that. So it wasn't my story. That's hers, and that's her testimony. I have a testimony now because of me, not because of anybody else. But I was 18. My granny, the only person that really loved me, and as I believed, and I still only believe, that she truly loved me. She had told me she was moving back to Nebraska. She's originally from Nebraska. She's like, you're graduating high school. It's time for me to go home to my siblings and build that relationship. She had been away from her family for so long and helping my mom raise her kids. And my mom had 4. So it's me. I have an identical twin sister. Some people don't know that, but I have an identical twin sister. I have a brother, and then I have another little sister. So there's the four of us biologically, with her in the same father. She's like, you know, you're raised up. I think the rest of them will be fine. Her and I had this conversation. She, I guess, in many ways felt like she had to stay until I graduated high school. She didn't think she needed to stay for the other ones. So I think God just knew that if my grandmother didn't stay, that maybe I would have fallen off a lot faster and sooner. Because when she left, my life was gone to me. But before that, we had moved out of the household where we were living with my grandmother. And so my mom and us kids were there. So I didn't have someone keeping me accountable every day. Like it was easy for me not to fall so far into drugs because I never wanted to walk into that household and see my grandmother's face. I think that would have broke my heart more than anything. I think she knew that I was doing stuff, but I hadn't fallen deep into drugs then. I was using them, but I hadn't like my life hadn't completely come unmanageable at the age of 16 or 15. Like I still was managing life. But it was, I think, my junior year when we had moved into our own house. And that's when the addiction started. I was able to drive. I got my first car. I no longer really went over and saw my grandmother because then my grandmother would come pick me up and I go stay the weekends with her. But this time I have my car, living it up. Sam had left me, broke my heart at 16. So 16, we moved out, got our own house. Sam broke my heart. I didn't know what to do, so I was living on post. And just, it was easy for me to no longer have someone keep me, she kept me accountable. Seeing her every day kept me somewhat accountable. Junior year, I can somewhat remember my junior year of high school. My senior year, I don't even know how I graduated. I remember waking up end of junior year, beginning senior year of high school, and I woke up and I'm sitting in class and I'm like, how did I even get here? And I had to drive there. And I was driving my siblings. Now, mind you, I'm the oldest. Well, we're twins, so she technically was born first, but her being special needs, she couldn't drive and just other stuff. But so I always took on the older role anyways. So I'm the oldest and I'm driving me and my twin sister to school. My senior year, I'm driving me, my twin sister. It's her junior year because she was a year behind me because of her special needs. And then my brother, that was his freshman year. I'm driving us to school, driving friends to school. And I don't even know how I even got here at this point. The only people that accepted me in Kentucky when I moved here when I was younger was the stoners. It was the bad kids. It was the, kids that partied all the time. I look different, I guess, as far as the way I dressed. Obviously, my accent comes out in some words that I say now. It was really strong back then. It's not as strong as it is now, unless I get really mad. And if you knew me before, I used to cuss all the time, and my mouth was bad. And my accent came out a lot then. But I just was different. And the only people that accepted me in Meade County, Brandenburg, Kentucky, Akron, Kentucky, Moldero, Kentucky, were the stoner kids, the drug kids, the skater kids, back then. And that became my identity too, were those kids. And those are the kids that showed me love. I didn't have love at my house happening. I had love at school. I had a teacher, like I said, Missy Hill, that poured into me. She loved me. She would tell me she loved me. I didn't get to hear that much. I didn't get hugged on. I got that from these stoner kids, and that meant something to me. To finally be loved and accepted, even though it wasn't maybe the right crowd, but it was a crowd. And at the time it was my crowd and it was my people. And so the only way I knew to do was just do drugs with them. So cocaine and speed and weed just became my identity. And that's what I did. I graduated high school. And I don't know how. I honestly don't. I lost, I want to say, weeks at a time in my senior year of high school. And I mean, really, your senior year of high school is not that long if you look back to everything going on. Um, but I remember one week waking up and I'm in a friend's basement and I'm looking around and my friend comes down and she's like, "Oh, you're awake." And I'm like, "Yeah, how long have I been here? Well, what's up?" And I'm like, she's like, "Girl, it's Sunday." I said, "What do you mean it's Sunday? I was just here on Friday." She says, "No, girl, you was here a week ago Friday." I was like, "What?" And now mind you, I hadn't gone home. I hadn't shown up to school. Nobody was looking for me. Nobody. Um, I had got home or my mom had picked me up or something or I drove home and I'm like, "Hey." She's like, "Oh, I was gonna give you another week and Jane Doe ya. Put it out." I'm like, "What? You weren't, oh, I just figured you were, being you out there doing whatever. You weren't worried?" Like, she's like, "Well, eventually, I don't know. You come home or somebody would say something and maybe, So it wasn't even that they weren't even just too worried, that I was missing. I know I would steal the car and disappear and stuff like that, but I'm a mom now. If my kids go missing for longer than an hour and I can't find them or know where they're at and no details, I'm looking for them. So as I became a mother and I think back to things that happened, I'm like, how? And I know she had stuff going on, but I mean, even in my addiction, that's why I was an addiction for so long. It was a functioning addiction. I took care of my kids. I'm just like thinking back to myself is like, how did you allow some of this stuff to happen to me as a kid? And I have forgiven them now because of my walk. And I don't forgive them for them. I forgive them for me because I know if I don't forgive them for myself, then that anger and everything that I've had all these years will just come back and I can't be who God has made me to be now. I graduated high school, still lived at home for a while, but I was 18. It's not much you're going to tell me to do. I graduate high school, got a diploma. So now you can't say nothing to me. I'm holding down a job. Um, but I'm dating this guy. I'm seeing this guy. I have this sugar daddy. And at this point in my life at 18, I have now flipped the script. I'm no longer being used by men. I'm using the men. Um, because hold on, that's not happening no more. I started taking my identity back as far as you're not going to use me, I'm going to use you. So I began to use myself, my body, to get what I needed from men. Oh no, you're not getting this unless you're paying a bill, unless you're providing food, um, unless you're providing me a service. I'm no longer giving you a service. You're no longer just getting this because, it benefits you. And then I started selling drugs. So I'm selling drugs, but I'm also using the men. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting their money for the drugs, but I'm also using them to now, hey, you're giving me money for the drugs. Well, I need you to pay a light bill. I need you to buy groceries. I need you to pay insurance on my car. I don't have a good car. Hey, why don't you buy me a new car? So it became that type of lifestyle. It wasn't even the addiction. Because at this point, I don't even think I was doing drugs as bad. It was the addictive that I got from now using men to get what I needed. Um, and then at one point, there was a guy that I think about 99% sure he tried to get me to like drug traffic for him, like to be a female. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't know who you think I am. This doesn't go that way. So then I started selling for them. That's how I started selling drugs for the cartel was I, instead of them using me to sex traffic, I was like, no, look, I'm already pushing drugs as it is. You want me to show you what I can do for you? So I started making lots of money for them, being a female that pushed drugs. But then the girls around me that were in addiction, I would just use them. Hey, she'll do what you needed to do. So then I just started pimping women out, you know. And for a long time, I think even now, I still struggle with that. I have a lot of shame with that, you know. I began to use women to benefit me, and but I didn't know what women sisterhood was. It was me for myself, flight or fight. So everybody says flight or fight. I'm fighting, and I'm using whoever I got to fight the battle, um, and that became my identity. I lived in an apartment, and everybody knew they'd come over and they can get drugs and party. At this point, I'm on failed marriage number one. Um, Connor, my oldest boy, um, you know, his father I had uh, back then it was MSN Messenger, and met this guy on that. He started hanging out with us, and he wasn't a kid that did drugs or anything, and not even a kid. I mean, at this point, he's 5 years older than me. I don't ever think I can get pregnant. Now, mind you, I had so much unprotected sex and everything from the time I was 15 until the time I was 20. So I didn't think I can get pregnant. All of a sudden, I get pregnant. Like, really? This can happen? Okay. Mikey realizes that I've been cheating on him. This like I've never been faithful in this marriage. Only married him out of convenience. It was the right thing to do. Everybody's telling us. His family is like, you get married. My mom's like, you're gonna get married, and now we have morals. Oh, on my side, his family is a little different. They're not. They never went to church or anything like that. His dad's an alcoholic, but his mom and dad are like high school sweethearts, have been together, always been married, 30 something years. Like it was that type of family. You get married. Mine is now all of a sudden acting like she's got morals over here that we have to get married. So we get married. I have Connor 2 weeks before I turned 21. And Connor, um, I want to say, I think Connor was just turned a year. He was 12 months old when me and his dad split. We get divorced. It was easy. I mean, we agreed on everything. Neither one of us was paying child support. You have them for a week, I have them for a week. You have them for a week, I have them for a week. So it was that cordial, whatever. Mikey had never been with another girl besides me. Poor man. I put that man. That man didn't deserve anything I did to that man. Put him through the ringer, run him through the mud, drained his account. He came from a very wealthy family. All I saw was money signs. So I was just using him for what I can get out of him. Got a kid out of him. Not what I wanted, but did. You would think that would have slowed me down. And in some part, it did. So the whole 9 months I was pregnant with Connor, and I even breastfed Connor afterwards for a little bit, I was able to stay clean and sober. That was easy. Because to me, this child didn't do nothing to deserve anything as far as me drugging. And I know that women have done that. And that's where I put myself on a higher pedestal than most addict women, or women in addiction, because I could quit using because of my kid. And that's what we do as addicts. We think we're better than the next addict. We have it figured out. We understand it better than the next one if they only knew it the way I did, you know. But like I said, I'd been holding a job down, working. I had been working at UPS. I was married to Mikey, working third shift. So it was a lot easy to like go out and drug and party and sleep with men behind his back. He didn't know. He was only about his computer. And this man went to work and then played his video games. That's what he did on the computer. So it was just easy to deceive him, But I just couldn't play house no more. And that's literally what I was doing. I was playing house, playing the what everybody thought I should play role. I think Connor was 4 months old when I wound up started using drugs again and partying and all that stuff. And it might have been 3 months, but I just now went back to work at UPS. And I think Connor was 3 or 4 months old. So it got crazy. I was able to hide it, like I said, third shift or whatever. We lived with his parents. His parents helped with Connor. Mikey would help with Connor when he got home and stuff. So it was not hard. I had tons of postpartum depression. Didn't know what that was. Didn't know what depression was until then. So doctors prescribed me Klonopin and Xanax. Man, oh man, that was a different high. It was being prescribed, so it's legal. So I had got on that, and I like to call Xanax forget-me-nots, because you'll forget everything. You'll forget what you're doing. You'll just be doing stuff and not knowing you're doing it until like, why did I just steal that? Why did I do that? Like it, yeah. So, but I was being prescribed to them, so I needed them. My doctor said I needed these, so that was that addiction side of me again coming out. And this time I was prescribed drugs. Wasn't doing cocaine no more, or as much, I should say. But I wasn't doing it like I was. But I was also married. So, trying to play the good wife card, be normal, whatever I thought normal was. And to me, being normal was being a suburban housewife that you see all these women in these houses and have these kids and white picket fence. So I was trying to be that. Never had that example, only what I saw on TV. But I never had that example. That's what I thought I needed to be. So yeah, I think Connor was 12 months old. Finally, I just could no longer hide the drugs and or hide that. So Mikey found out. I think I was on the phone with one of the guys I was cheating on him with. He heard it, whatever. But yeah, so I go get my own apartment, got Connor. Addiction is running crazy, crazy at that age. And 21. At this point now I can legally go into clubs. I can legally do certain things. So I can go buy my own alcohol. I can, I'm a mom, put you on a different, people see you with a kid, they don't expect you to be as, messed up or screwed up as, and I could hide my addiction very well within myself. Some people didn't know that I was high a lot of times. Some people didn't know I was drunk when I was, and that's scary. But I think I learned years of how to hide it because of what my family did. They, taught me how to like live functionally. I mean, my dad ran a shipyard. He ran shutdowns. He was a welder, you know what I mean? Like, and they did this. So I was just taught how to hide the crazy, as, my family would say, you just hide your crazy. I hid my crazy very well. But on the inside, I wasn't, on the inside, I was dying. I truly was. I was dying. But yeah, 2 weeks before I turned 21, I had Connor. And then Connor was 15 months old when I didn't willingly check myself into rehab. I had gone on bingers. Now, mind you, I remember me saying that my identical twin sister was special needs. She moved in with me to help pay bills. I would just leave her for weeks at a time. My sister has cerebral palsy. So she has cerebral palsy. She can walk. She can talk, but her hands are kind of drawn. Now that she's gotten older, it's a little worse. But even back then, I had no business leaving my child with her for weeks at a time. So it got to the point where even the week that I had Connor, I would go on these little bingers. And like during the week, I would have it Monday through Thursday. Well, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I still had him until his dad picked him up. But I was out partying. I never brought it to my house when he was there. So I thought I was the better mother. I was the better addict. Because I never brought it to my house when he was there. Now, when he was gone for that week, you best believe my house was the party house. We turned it up when he wasn't there. But it just got so unmanageable. I'm walking down the highway, and I don't know what day it is. I don't know nothing. And I'm trying to get hit by cars at this point. I want a car to hit me. No cars are hitting me. Like literally, I'm face on. There's a car in there. Boom, swerving. Boom, swerving. You hear them honk, boom, bam. And I'm causing stuff around me. Nobody's hitting me. Why are they not hitting me? And back then, I was like, God's doing this on purpose to punish me. He hates me. I hate myself. He's doing this to punish me. He just wants me to continue to live like this. Why can I not? Because, I knew if I killed myself, I'd go home. That's what I was thinking. Not that I knew any sense of anything about killing yourself and going home. I didn't know what home was. I just knew I did not want to be in this place no more. I wanted to go elsewhere. I wanted to go home. At this point, I know I'm on the phone with my grandmother at any time in my life at this point. She's in Nebraska, but she's just a phone call away. I guess at some point, she either hangs up, maybe. Unless she had three-way. I don't know if my grandma had three-way then. I'm pretty sure she did. Maybe she clicked over, because back then you could click over and call another line, and then, but so I don't know if she clicked over, I don't know what. Anyway, somehow she gets my mother on the phone, and at this point, there's a car, and it stops in front of me. And so, I think it hits me. I don't know. Maybe it didn't hit me. I don't know. All of a sudden, I get basically snatched up and thrown into a car. Come to find out it's my mother. And she is cussing me from up, down, left, right. I mean, I don't know if she's putting I think she's put her hands on me at some point. How dare you? This is selfish of you. You have a kid. And I'm thinking, who are you to even talk to me like this? First off, you haven't even been a mother. Like, what are you talking about? How dare I? Well, if you would have taught me how to be a mom, we wouldn't even be in this predicament. But I'm like, man, at this point, I'm so out of it that I don't even care, right? So she takes me back to my apartment. She's like, I'm taking your kid, I'm taking your sister, and you're gonna be in this apartment. You better figure it out. You got two options. That's what she tells me. Got two options. You either check yourself into place, or I'm taking your son and I'm going up to the courthouse and I'm getting your kid taken from you. What? Like, this is it? This is what you're doing? You have my kid taken from me? I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. You're ridiculous. So she removes him from the house. All I know is I go get in my bed and I go to sleep. I don't even care. I wake up. She's in my house. What are you doing? And then her and I are getting into a fight. Like we're arguing, screaming, fighting, all this. Um, she throws me into the car again, and she's like, "I'm taking you to the hospital. You're getting checked in. No, you're unstable." Yeah, so I get checked into rehab. I no longer do cocaine and stuff. Get out of rehab. I meet my second husband, and man, oh man, they tell you the first year, don't do any of that. I thought I was better than anybody, and I thought I was better because I'm like, oh, I'm not doing cocaine. I'm only drinking here and there. Because when you're in AA and NA in the normal like 12-step program rooms, NA is like if you drink alcohol, whatever, you're not doing the drug. When you're in AA, if you're not drinking alcohol and you're smoking weed or something, it's whatever. So like I think that's where the misconception comes, and that's why people that are in A mostly, and that's what I would consider myself as a person that used drugs more than I used alcohol. You're like, oh, alcohol's okay because that's not a drug. It's alcoholism. I'm not an alcoholic, you know? So that's how, and I think that's just another way for those type of areas. And I'm not saying that 12 step is wrong, that type of 12 step programs. Maybe it does great for some people. It did not do great for me. That's why I continued on in crazy addiction. But second husband comes along. He is a manipulator. He's a narcissist. He's a green lighter. And at this point, I'm now like, clean and sober. I'm not saved. I'm clean and sober. And he's able to play head games on me in a different way. He used my son to get to me, or used that to get in and think he was a nice guy. Yeah, so we get together. And man, I get pregnant instantly with Grayson. I think we met at the beginning of October. I got pregnant with Grayson at the end of October. He was born in July. So like it was like boom. Um, we went, it was just that. So then it was just I got with him. We moved from house to house, sister to sister. There was a bunch of addiction and crazy crap going on in his side of his family. His sister was in active addiction, I think. In ways, Lisa still is in active addiction. But there's just that. I mean, there was just lying and stealing and just that whole more of a different thing. There was he would just yeah, it was bad. I was made to believe. Now I have three children: Connor, Grayson, and Benjamin. Grayson and Benjamin from Jesse. But at this point, the craziness that was going on with Jess, I no longer got Connor. And I thought I was doing that for Connor. Like in ways I was like, I'm the better parent. I don't want to bring him into this crazy chaos world of bull crap. So I just left him with his dad. I would still talk to him and send money and stuff. I would get him periodically, but Jess became mean to Connor once we had Grayson and Benjamin. So I was the better, think I was doing better because of that. It ate me up, that I did that. So it got easy to start doing drugs again. I was around it all the time. Jess is causing me problems. I'm not getting my kid because of him. But Grayson was getting ready to turn 5. And something in my head clicked. I can't keep doing this. He's going to be 5. I can't bounce from place to place, get him into a school and then bounce him again. And like, suicide came in again. I had suicidal thoughts before. And I'm like, man, I just can't do this. I at some point, when Connor was 15, like I said, I was walking there and I just thought they would be better off without me. And at this point, I'm like, man, I can't keep. I got Grayson and Ben. Connor's in a good situation, you know. His dad is his dad physically provided for him. His dad was not emotional whatsoever. But I'm like, he's got everything he needs. You know what I mean? But I have these two that have. If I don't leave him, then they have nothing. And if I kill myself, well, then what is going on here? You know, they're gonna be stuck in a bit worse than what I had. You know, if not the same crap I grew up in. So I wind up leaving Jess um, before Grayson turned 5, so that I just could find some kind of stability for myself and these kids. So I live in Kentucky at this point. Again, I get a house, or not a house, I get an apartment in Mosrule, Kentucky. Back when I was in school, Meade County is called Weed County. Like it was the weed capital of the thing. Now it's like everything is meth everything. You know, meth has taken over. And I had never done meth early on. Like I was cocaine speed. I mean, I literally had a relationship with cocaine. Anybody knows anything about Buck Cherry, cocaine on, that was my anthem. That was another thing. Growing up in rock and roll, I love rock music. Benjamin, my kid Benjamin, his name is Benjamin after Breaking Benjamin, is my favorite alternative rock band. There's a kid I connect with here at church. His name's Zach, and we connect on that whole rocker vibe and stuff. And yeah, so like that I loved rock music. It spoke to me. But my youngest kid, his name's Axel. So you know, it's just certain things came off in that. But yeah, so I didn't know what meth was about until I get to Meade County later on in life. Now, you know, I'm like 24, 25 at this point, single mom of 3 kids, and Jess kept telling me, you're worthless. No man's ever gonna love you. You're not gonna find nobody. You need these 3 kids, 2 baby daddies. Like, you know, I became the epitome of like what addiction does to women, right? Something I was just like, that's never gonna be me. First off, I never wanted children. I need to really state this at this point. I never wanted kids. I wanted to be the free spirit, rock and roll, out doing. I loved drugs. I truly did. Everybody else had a problem with me doing drugs. Everybody else had a problem with me and my addiction. I didn't have the problem. So there's a lot of women I hear like, oh, I didn't want to do it. I didn't like it. It was like, no, I wanted it. I thought I was fine. I really did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that lifestyle. I know that's something that maybe I shouldn't be sitting here really saying, but if I have to be honest and raw, I'm going to be honest and raw. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the crazy wild side of it. God forsaked me anyways. He, you know, to me, there was no God. Not that I was an atheist. I mean, I believed in God, but I also was like, you know, they say that he forgives you. They say he knows you're going to do what you do before. Like, so like, I just like play that stuff in my head. And at this point I started playing, like I said, I'm from Louisiana. So like voodoo and witchcraft and spooky vibes. And everybody gets to know me. I love spooky season. Not too long ago, I made a post about Friday the 13th. I lived for that side of it, you know, and I started dabbling in that stuff. I started opening, you know, spiritual stuff. And if you don't believe it, then I don't know what to tell you. You can open some stuff and spiritually awaken things that should stay on the other side of stuff. There are demonic things. The pastor today was just preaching about it, and I was like, you know, there are demons and spirits and stuff that Satan allows. And at this point, Satan is it. Look, I live for the streets. I love the street life. I went hard for Satan. I did. I went hard for that life. You know, that's not me today. That's why I sit here. I went hard for that. But I don't go hard for that now. I go hard for my recovery and what I'm doing now. But, you know, to get there was lots of turmoil and just, oh my gosh, just, I still, to this day, sometimes be like, how am I managing to sit here right now? you know, and that's what's crazy to me. How am I managing to sit here? But I do know why I am sitting here. But it was a hard road. It really was. My addiction got horrible with my three boys. And then the little place I found in Kentucky, in this apartment area, there was nothing but single moms and addiction. We helped each other out. I don't know why at that time. That's all I had, was that addiction village that helped me. She would watch my kids, send her daughter over, watch it. There was Hispanic guys that lived next door. They were doing something for LG&E. Those men would help me with my children. Like, they were sending money back to their families or whatever, but it was the outcast and the people, the misfits that nobody loved, that helped me. They weren't Christians. They were misfits. Maybe they did believe in God. I don't know. Never had that talk with them, but anything about Hispanic people, they do. They believe in Christ. But, one of them was trying to get with me, even though he had a wife. And of course I was okay with that and slept with them. Doesn't that's I did. And a lot of times I would just purposely sleep with married men because they weren't attached to me. I didn't need an attachment. I just needed to use them for whatever. So again, that's me hurting women. That's all I did. I knew they were married, and nor did I care less if they were married. I prefer to sleep with married men because, again, they have a wife to go home to. They're not wanting to stay with me. I don't want them to stay with me. Just want them to give me their money or give me whatever it is I need at this point. And it wasn't even necessarily sex. I was using them for something else. Sex was just, at what men wanted from me, and that's okay. I was okay with it. I became okay. I was not okay with it. I became okay with it. Yeah. So these women helped me with my children. And I just got further in addiction. We would party and smoke weed and snort lines, and we're out here cooking with our kids, and that just became my identity. My house at this point now became what I grew up in. I no longer hid it from my children. Connor is coming over all the time again. I live in Meade County. His dad lives in Meade County. At some point, someone turns me into CPS. You think that would have woke me up? Ha! No, it didn't. I had to go take a drug test, and tested positive for weed, but I just basically got some meetings or whatever. Boom, it was done. So I was able to fight it. But I was selling drugs. They just didn't catch that I was selling drugs. Because again, I became a good functioning addict. I knew how to hide things, all that. But at this point, I'm working at, what is it, Bono on third shift. So basically I get the older boys on the bus, me and Ben lay down, I'm tired at this point. I don't know how to function, because at this point, Xanaxes and Klonopin have been becoming my thing because I was prescribed those. I have anxiety. I have depression. Oh, I've been diagnosed with bipolar now at this point at the age of 26. Just all this stuff that the world tells me I am. And I'm not saying that I don't have any of that, but what the world tells me I am, these doctors, they're just pumping me with these meds that are now making me a downer situation. And I hate that. That gets in me in my head, and I don't want to be in my head. This is not a good place to be. But I'm like falling asleep and stuff and different things like that. So a friend turns me on to Neurotins. I think I had like rolled my ankle or something, having some kind of pain or something. Like, man, doing Neurotins, that helps with that. So I found out that Neurotins, instead of making it a downer or something that people pass out, it speeds me up. So I now take the Klonopin and Xanax that have been knocking me out. I'm on Neurotins. So I'm staying up all the time again. I'm not doing cocaine. I'm not doing speed. I'm doing Neurotins. It's prescribed. It's a prescribed medicine. I'm not having to buy it on the streets. I mean, I am having to buy it on the streets, but not like it's someone's prescription. That's how we justify things, right? It was prescribed from the government. Dude, that's just how, I don't know how to justify it. But so now I'm doing Neurotins, and Neurotins have become a thing. And so that's how I'm living. Like, I'm getting through working third shift, my kids, whatever. Well, at one point I run out of Neurotins. I fall asleep. Benjamin is able to get out of my house. For some reason, I wake up and I'm panicked. Now, mind you, I'm panicked. I don't know where he's at. I can't find him. Now, my door, once it closed, it was made to automatically lock behind you. So he gets out, and I guess he can't get back in because it locks automatically behind you. I'm panicked. Now, mind you, again, was living for the world. I was dating a female at this time. And the girl I was dating, I'm blowing her up. Valerie, did you come get Benjamin and not tell me? How dare you? Like, I'm flipping. She's like, no, 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 honey, no, no. No, no, he got out. What do you mean he got out? And the girl I become best friends with, and in many ways saved my life, even though it was an addiction. She saved me. If it wasn't for Sherry and the love that that woman poured into me with her kids and stuff, and she, she's tatted on my leg. Man, that girl. But anyways, she did something for me in Meade County. I mean, she really did. I was able to provide for my kids because of her. I mean, I know that addiction is bad. Like, I'm not glorifying it at all. But at that time, those people saved my life in many ways. I didn't know God then. I knew her. And God put her in my life for a reason at that time, you know. And it was maybe his little thing, you know, just putting that crazy into that, you know what I mean? She was amazing. Her mom is amazing. Lynn, Katie, man, Katie watched my kids so much. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would have. I don't think I could have been a single mom. Like, I really don't. I think I would have just let my kids go back to their father and stuff. And Sherry's like, no, you're not. Sherry was a single mom in addiction, and she loved her children. And she poured that into me. She did. You know, he gets out. Panicked. Grayson's getting ready to come home. Benjamin, and I can't find Benjamin, but Sherry had him. They took him and fed him and loved on him. Like, he didn't get nothing but like 2 foot out of my door. The guy next door that I was sleeping with, his name was Paris. He went and gave him to Sherry. I mean, they said they were beating on my door, like the police, windows, everything. I didn't wake up. But and that's just because I had come off the drugs, you know, that's what happens. But Daniel comes along. That's the guy I'm married to now. Man, was he God sent. And at this point, when Benjamin, so before this, let me backtrack a minute. In 2010, Benjamin was born. Benjamin was born March of 2010. My grandmother, my everything, my rock, my mother in many eyes, like, passed away Christmas. And it's crazy because this woman, like I said, had an amazing relationship with God. Like, she did. She was so in tune with him and his spirit and his love for him. And I never heard this woman cuss ever. I forget how old I was when I finally saw this woman drink a beer. Like, ever. And she's like, what? It's okay. It's every now and then. I'm married to Jess at this time. I only married Jess because Jess says the reason he mistreated me and the way he treated me was because we weren't married. In the Bible, it states, I know now that in Ephesians what it says, and the only reason I even know about Ephesians, and I dug deep in Ephesians, is because when I started coming here, would come on Wednesday nights, and there's a gentleman named Jerry. Man, that dude can teach you about the Bible for sure. I don't know if Jerry even understands some of what he did for me those Wednesday nights. And then when he was just talking Ephesians, I was in a broken state. I really was when I came to this church, but just used Ephesians against me. He came from a kind of like a Christian background. He used Ephesians against me, and that's why I wound up marrying this man. He said he mistreated me because we weren't married. He didn't have to treat me right because we weren't married. Because the Bible says you treat your wife as God treats the church. And since I wasn't married to him, he didn't have to treat me right. So we got married, and he said he'd treat me better. He didn't. That was just a lie for me not to go elsewhere. That's how he held me captive for a while. But yeah, so my grandmother passes away in 2010, December. My life is done. this at this point, that's when my addiction just gets out of control, and I'm just like, screw it. My my cornerstone's gone. The lady that anytime I could call, I mean, I could call this woman. I know she lives in Nebraska. I think she was like hours, whatever the time difference is. At 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, this woman is answering the phone, and if not, I'm talking on her voicemail, y'all. Like it's an actual answer machine. It's not the voicemail on your phone, and I know I'm being loud, and she wakes up and picks up, but. Anytime this woman would send me care packages, and this is how I know God is that's how I knew God was real then, but I didn't know how real God was until I think back now. This woman would send me letters. I had letters, her writing, just God was telling her things about me, and she just writing life into me, sending me care packages. This woman lived on a fixed income. Why is she sending me money? You know what I mean? Sending me food, perishables or non-perishables, I mean, in a bag, clothes for my kid. Like, this is only God's work through my grandmother, but she passed away in 2010. Still to this day, I struggle with that. But that's when I really started hating God. Like, how dare you take the only thing I ever had, worth anything in life, away from me? She was ready. She had wrote about it. She kept 12 journals. I have one of them physically. When she moved, when I was in high school, she knew she needed to go back and just fix those relationships, and not so much fix, but build those relationships with her sisters and her brother, and her native state, as she likes to say. But she needed to be there, and I know that now. Was I okay with it? No. Was I still okay with it? No. I hated God still, and just more reasons to hate him, to be just further away from him, further in my addiction. You took her. How dare you do that to me? I need her. You don't need her. She was lady was in her 70s, I think, when she passed. But, she had been through a lot. She was sick. She was fighting a lot of just physical things happening to her body, but he took her. And the addiction took on. Satan was able to plant even more seeds in me, and more anger and hate and resentment and bitterness. I mean, all of that Ephesians, talks about, and just downright, I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me. Hurt people, right? And that's what I became to do. But fast forward, I'm married again with Daniel. Daniel comes from adoption, and he's got his own story to eventually tell too, but he doesn't attach very well. He doesn't show emotion very well. And how am I continuing to find these men in my life, right? Nobody that will give me what I actually need in life, or what I think I need. So him and I, at this point, I just use him again, right? We don't have no kids yet. I'm getting ready to be homeless because my addiction had gotten so bad, but I'm still oblivious that my addiction got this bad. I'm not paying my rent. I'm living in a modular home. I meet Daniel. Daniel moves to Kentucky to find his birth mom. It's not what he thought it was either. She was a prostitute and a stripper and all that, and had all of her kids taken away, and they all lived in the system. Daniel was eventually adopted by a Christian family, but he has his own story to tell about that. It wasn't what he thought it was going to be. He has told me that church was shoved down his throat. So he got people in church hurt, church people hurt, and church hurt. I didn't have any of that. I just didn't have church. So I didn't know what that was. I do know what that is now. But so we just didn't go to church. I didn't care for God because I was already angry at him, and he didn't care for church people. And he didn't really have a walk with God, but he didn't like church people. So screw it, He was also the first yes man I ever had. If that makes sense. He never told me no. I had men tell me no all the time. I had men to kind of control me. I had men, always tell me what to do, really, my whole life. Daniel never did. Daniel just let me be me. He let me be an addiction. He let me be the independent, loud, outspoken woman. I didn't submit to him. I wasn't gonna submit to him. I, that is not a nope. I'm never submitting to another man. You got me messed up. And Daniel let me. Daniel let me rule the roost. That was the worst thing he could have done. Daniel comes along, and I'm got to get kicked out. No place to go. I start living with my sister and her fiance at the time. We wind up getting an apartment out in Hillview, out there together. And at this point, I'm just using him, right? I find out that I'm pregnant with Landon. So at this point, I'm like, man, I can't have another failed marriage. And I don't love him. Now, mind you, I've had to have a conversation with him before even doing this. My story, his glory thing. Because there's stuff in here that I knew God's gonna bring out what He wants to bring out. I played in my head exactly what I was gonna say in this multiple times. I'm gonna say only this. I'm not gonna say this, and that's still just because me trying to control the narrative, right? Hoping that people don't see me as broken as I was, or the really ugly side of me. I was not a good person. Like I what you see now and people know me now and love me now is like crazy to me, and I love it. I'm here for it because that's what God has put me here for. But like, I still have to come to terms and surrender and just let that shame go. That's not, God doesn't shame us. I need to leave Satan out of my head. But I was not a good person, and I'm only a good person now because He's made me that way. But I was horrible, and I've had to come to terms with that. But Daniel has his own issues. He really does. He is a great guy. Like, I'm not even gonna say he's not. He has his own problems and his own things, and we have our own things going on in our marriage, like most people do. I'm just a lot. Like, I know I'm a lot. Like, I can't even stand I could stand myself a lot more now, but back then I'm like, man, I don't even like myself, so who is gonna like me? But I know I'm a lot sometimes to take in. And I'm working on that. I've gotten a lot better. But I was only using him. I had not fallen in love with this man. I was just using him. I had put up that I'm never gonna fall in love with a man because I fell in love with a man at 15 that wrecked my life. I really thought at 15 that's who I was marrying. So I get with Daniel, finally allow myself to fall in love with this man. Now, mind you, I've done got him to let me sell drugs again. Like, I have brought him into my chaos, right? And he's just like, yes, absolutely, anything you want. I love you. And so at this point, I'm like, oh, this is what love is? Being told yes. So now I learned how to manipulate him. So as I said, my second husband manipulated me. I learned some things or two from him, how to manipulate people, how to gaslight people. And so like, I've just learned from these other men that have wrecked my life, now how to use that to wreck other people's lives. So I'm just a product at this point of what everybody else has done to me. And this is my way of putting up those walls, putting on, that armor for Satan, because I'm here for it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of just things just thrown on me and packed on that I'm having to unravel now this last year. Some of it was very easy, and some of it is very hard. I'm not done. There's a song that says, if I'm not dead, He's not done. Well, I ain't dead, and there's definitely a lot more to be done. He kept me here for a reason, and now this is my reason, and I just got to unpack it all. But so Daniel and I are now, this April 17th will be 11 years that we've been together. We got married back in 2020. And he had finally proposed to me. I told him I was never going to marry him. Like, I was never planning on marrying this man. One, because I done had 2 failed marriages, and ain't nobody about to tie me back down that I just can't run at this point. But you know what? I was like, screw it. At this point in my life too, I was just like, you know what? I'm selling drugs. I'm able to do this. He gives me everything I want. He doesn't tell me no. Okay. Finally talk Jess into divorcing me because Jess was not trying to divorce me. Finally got him to divorce me. Married Daniel in 2020. We get married. We ain't even married long. I swear we're not married long. And just everything. I find out meth. Actually, so we are in Michigan. Saw a whole different side of this man. Fell in love with this man. We moved back to Kentucky. We moved back to Kentucky because I do feel like if we would have stayed there, our marriage would have been fine. But again, devil and things happen. And his best friend, the only guy that he's ever had any type of like a connection with, like just Daniel shows raw emotion to this guy. Like he brings out the raw side of him, the what I want to see that he's never showed me. And he still hasn't showed me to this day, but we're working on it. But they're an active addiction. At this point, I'm only smoking weed at this point, which is really good for me. Okay. Some people like to call it California sober. I'm not even drinking alcohol at this point. I'm only smoking weed. Now I am smoking a lot of it. I'm eating edibles, but I'm only doing weed. And that was a big step for me. I'm down. I'm always cooking. I'm cleaning. I love to cook. If anybody knows me, I love to cook. I'm from Louisiana. You want some flavor? You want some good food? I got you all day. That is actually my love language, is to cook for people. If I can cook for people. And I've always, look, even when I was in active addiction, running trap, I was the trap house queen. People come to I was always feeding people. People lived in me. People would sleep on my floor. I was always watching out for people. I was giving them drugs, but I was making sure they was doing it safely. They was getting clean drugs. Drugs are not clean, but y'all know what I mean. Like they weren't buying it from whoever down the road with whatever in it. But I was trying not to give laced out like stuff that was killing people. Like none, as far as I know, anything I had ever sold, nobody ever OD'd on. If they went outside of me and got it from someone else, that's when I heard about an OD store. I'm like, oh, if you could have didn't buy it from me, you went OD'd. That was my train of thought. I was still doing good, even doing bad. But I think that was just always a part of me, right? I've always had that spirit, right? I guess that's one of my, what is it, spiritual gifts that God gives you or whatever, for people, is to love on people. But yeah, I love to cook. That literally is my safe place, my love language. If I cook for you, then you have a special spot. If I'm sharing my food with you, you have a special place in my heart. But anyways, I was just like, it was a whole different thing out there. So we get back here, we moved back to Meade County. Oh man, stomping grounds, addiction ground, just you cherish those to change people, places, and things for a reason. You don't ever go back to that. So we moved back to Meade County, moved back into an apartment building, not the same one that I originally did anything in. This is a new one. But I find meth. Now I knew about meth then, but I had never done it. Now I'm doing meth. Now mind you, Landon and Axel are 1 and 2. They're a year apart. They're considered like Irish twins. So at this point, there's a 5-year gap between Benjamin and Landon. Connor physically moves back into my house at the age of 13. So I have all 5 children under the same roof. Now, mind you, 5 kids, 2 adults, and a 2-bedroom apartment in Meade County. Again, here I am. I'm only smoking weed, though. Only smoking weed. I try to help out these girls in addiction because I'm always trying to help out somebody. And now I'm selling weed, too. Like, I'm still selling. At any point, I'm always selling. I wind up picking up shop, and I'm running, pounds of weed through my apartment. Daniel's working 3rd shift at Alcobono. I'm not working. I'm taking care of the kids, or at least that's what he thought. I was taking care of the kids, but he knows I'm running shop. He allows it because he's a yes man. As I have put him in that category. Unfortunately, but he's no longer that so much of a yes man. But I find meth. The same guy that I almost killed myself over when Connor was 15 months old shows up in my DMs, as I like to say. Chuck finds out I'm back in town. Chuck then tries to talk to me. At this point, I'm on meth. I have now, meth has triggered multiple personality disorder. I'm in and out, I guess, of psychosis is what I'm being told. I wasn't one of those weird tweaker meth heads. If anybody knows anything about meth heads, I thought I was a better meth head. Anytime I did anything, I thought I was the better person because I didn't do weird stuff. Like I wasn't up at like 6 o'clock in the morning taking things out and like scratching my head and like freaking out and all that. Like meth really just like shut my brain off. The same that it did, same thing that speed did for me, cocaine did for me, meth did for me. Meth shut my brain off. I didn't have to think about anything I'd done before, but unfortunately, it would also then trigger a personality switch in me. So, like I said, my name is Tawnie. I go by Tawnie, but my name is actually Tawnie. So I was born Tawnie Lee Plaisance, very Cajun, very Creole, right? Louisianan. But when I got out of rehab, I needed a new identity, I thought. And in many ways, that's what we do. So I just started, and no one could ever say my name right, first off. It's Tawnie, Tawnya, Tawnya. I get called Tanya and Tanya, which is fine. That's great. That's beautiful for other people that's their names. Nothing's wrong with that. But mine has a W in it, and it's Tawnya, not Tawana. And I get called Tawana my whole life too. Or Tanya. I'm not Tanya. I'm not Tanya or Tawnya. So it would just really aggravate me. So I was like, Tawnie. Y'all can just call me Tawnie for short. All right, I guess. I don't know. So then I just, in rehab, I started calling myself Tawnie. I actually wrote a death letter to my mom. I'm telling you, I was evil. I really was. I told her she killed me. The girl she gave birth to, Tawnie Lee Plaisance, no longer resided here. She has then have shown it to me, but I basically told her that she killed me. Like, you killed this person. I'm no longer that person. Way to go. You have this person. This is what you're going to deal with. And now she says, that's not the name I gave you. They don't ever call me that, which I don't care, whatever. They can call me whatever. Actually, they just call me the addict daughter, I guess, that's never going to get clean. I'm over here playing church. Nobody knows my true story. My church doesn't know the real me. And unfortunately, I'm like, that they do. But there's no hiding it now. So if the church didn't know, they do now. But no, I've never lied. Do I give out my full story? No. And the reason I didn't is because it's always been used against me. But I'm learning that that's a testimony. So to me, I didn't know what that was until now. I have a testimony of where I was, where I'm at, and where God has definitely taken me. But I didn't love Daniel. I didn't love him until later. Men active addiction, in and out of literally personality disorder, multiple personality. I think later on I get tested and there was like 3 or 4 distinct personalities at that time they could tell, and I'm like, whatever. They're putting me on more drugs and all this stuff. But at this point I'm texting men. I'm married to Daniel, but I'm texting other men, sending pictures of me in a towel to other men. He's working 3rd shift. I mean, he's providing for our family. At some point, someone tells him that I cheated on him with this dude. I had never physically slept with anybody. I had never physically kissed anyone. Now, I know what I was doing is wrong. At the time, did I think it was? Heck no. Do I know now that it's wrong? Yes. Do I know that was cheating? Do I know that's not what I was supposed to be doing? I do know all of this now. Back then, I didn't. I didn't think it was a problem. Whatever. I didn't care. Marriage meant nothing to me. Didn't mean nothing to my parents. My parents were cheating on each other. So I was never taught that marriage was a sacred thing between a husband and a wife. So why would I think that was it wasn't sacred with my first husband. It wasn't sacred with my second husband. So why would it be any different with my third husband? Even though my third husband was the better husband, it still wasn't sacred. I hadn't been changed. I was still the same dirty old me. You know what I mean? Just using another man. But we're both working at Love's Travel Stop up here in Shepherdsville. Pandemic happens, a bunch of just crazy crap with, COVID and stuff like that. I'm in active addiction. I'm actually on Adderall at this time. Connor's Connor has Adderall for a reason. He is an ADHD child. He eventually comes off of it, but I'm still getting his Adderall because I need it. I'm on it. But what Adderall does, so I get off of meth. I come clean to Daniel. I come clean to Daniel's best friend first because I'm hoping that he will just rat me out so I don't have to tell Daniel that I've been on meth this whole entire time. But I had done meth for about a year and a half, bad. And so Daniel just thought I was insomnia. I was sleep because I don't sleep. I have insomnia, right? Just the thing. I swear I can fall asleep, wake up, and I'm good and not sleep. It's just all years of doing drugs. When you do a bunch of speed and cocaine and you're up all the time, I mean, I'm still only a year clean and sober, so my body, I think, is still trying to figure out what normal is, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that. But so he just thinks my insomnia is acting up, and he's only going to think that because that's what I told him. So I come clean or whatever. He doesn't leave me. I think secretly I was hoping he would leave me, because I was done with everything and everybody, like, you know. But I get on Adderall, start taking my son's medicine. This triggers the mean, angry side of me. Not to mention, I start putting on a bunch of weight. I mean, I was skinny before. One, because of meth. And two, I've always been a thick girl, but I've only been a thick girl at 180 pounds thick. I get up to 420 pounds, the heaviest I've ever been. Men are still liking me. I've had men approach me to have sex with me, pay me, because they had a big girl fetish. But I wasn't happy. Still wasn't. I mean, I wasn't happy with myself then. I definitely didn't like myself now. So, Adderall triggers anger in me. I become angry. Now, mind you, I was never told I was loved. I never spoke life into my boys either. Let me go ahead and say that. Like, I loved them. Don't get me wrong, I loved them, obviously, because I stayed with them, is what I put in my head. I didn't want them, but I loved them and I kept them, right? Because that's what I was supposed to do. It's what moms do. I love them. But I don't know if I ever really knew what that was, though. Like, I can honestly say, and that's horrible to say, and I'll probably hear this, or not from my church, because, gosh, my church is God sent, but I don't know if I would ever, like, loved my children until I came to Christ. Like, I don't understand. You know, I think I liked them. I don't know. Like, I was being their mom because that's what I was supposed to do. I had them, so I was just supposed to be their mom. But I didn't know what the love was. So how could I love them? I wasn't shown love. I wasn't taught love. So I was angry. And Adderall triggered that angry that I kept inside of me. It came out. I spoke angry. I told them they were all kinds of choice words in life that I don't talk like that now, would never say that to them now. I told them they were stupid. I don't know if I ever really told them I loved them. I mean, maybe I did. I didn't hug them, but I didn't get hugged. Adderall just triggered anger. It did in my marriage. I would get angry at Daniel. All he did was work. I mean, literally, this man just provided for us. He took on 3 kids that he didn't have to. He did. And then we had 2 together. But, like, and a lot of my anger, too, was like, he wouldn't open up to me emotionally. And I didn't care that he had his own crap. Like, I need you to open up to me emotionally. But I got a job at Penn Station, East Coast Subs in Shepherdsville. And I started working there. And I had got off the Adderall, but I had done so much damage then with it. I got onto Neurotins again, found Neurotins again. And so that kept me up all the time, which was fine. At least I wasn't angry anymore. But it still triggered that anger side. Like, I didn't know how to get rid of it. I didn't. And I didn't get rid of it until I got saved. But I was angry. Wasn't doing the Adderall no more, and I didn't understand why I was angry. I'm like, I'm not doing this drug that I know made me angry. Why am I doing it? But Satan had triggered that, those thoughts and stuff. There was a girl that started working for us. Her name's Jessie. She's supposed to be my friend. Um, my uncle got sick and passed away in 2022. And I went back home to Louisiana. But before that, there was something going on with Jesse and Daniel. And I said that they were just being too ha ha, funny, funny, too close knit, and I would confide into her about my relationship problems and thought she was my friend. And she would like, oh, well, maybe you should try this with Daniel. And man, she was only doing that because her and Daniel were secretly having a relationship. And what right did I have to be mad, right? And he had known I had flirted with these guys and found the messages and stuff. So like he had already known, but again, I had never slept with any of these guys. They were just only messages. So that's what I told myself, right? I was only messaging them. I never met up with them, anything like that. I mean, except for the one guy, I did kiss him one time, but I never had sex with him. Again, to me, that was okay. Marriage wasn't sacred at this point. But why am I so mad that these two are talking? But anyways, it comes out that these two, I caught that they had, at the time, I thought they only had an emotional relationship going on, that he emotionally cheated on me, which is all I wanted him to open up to me emotionally. How dare him do this with this girl? So that did a lot to me. Recently, I just found out that it was more than just an emotional thing. He actually slept with her one time. It doesn't matter. He did one time. And now I'm fighting with that. But, God can and will restore my marriage. Like, I know that, and it's only in this year. Like I said, I got clean, sober, and saved in January. It's been a year. God has done so much in my life that in times I don't think I deserve it. Like, I don't deserve to be sitting in this chair right now. I don't deserve to be speaking life into women that I once took life from them and put them in bad situations. And now all I want to do is speak life into them. I'm part of our recovery ministry. I pour into Power of Grace that we have on Friday nights as the woman chair. I get to sit hand in hand with a guy that leaves that ministry too. And I get to be the counterpart to that as a woman. I get to bring women in from the streets and pour life in them and tell them that they are worth every amount of love. But the only one that's going to do that, it's nothing for me. It's totally him. I tried this so many ways before I surrendered to God. Like, truly, it's him. It's not me. It isn't. It's not. Because if it was me, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would not be pouring life into anybody. I get to worship with kids in kids' church and kids' grace. Like, I get to stand up in front of these kids and sing with them and show them what it is to praise God and to love on them the way I didn't get to love on my own children at that age. Like, I still have a 10 and 11-year-old, and I still have my other boys I get to pour love into, and I get to do it and correct things and break chains and generational curse and torment. Like, I get to break that, but I also now get to sing praise music and tell these children that they're worth everything now. And I would have never done that before because I didn't care to do that. It's crazy that a woman with tattoos and came from the life that I came from get to sit here today and just share the love of what God has done for me. And I know that any woman like me, worse off than me, and I don't know how women can get worse off than me, sometimes if I can sit here today and know that God can restore my marriage right now, and continue to change me and work in me. I don't have it all figured out. For sure, do not have it all figured out. I'm not perfect. I mean, just last week, I think this is again God, and in a way Satan too, because Satan sees the pastor that spoke today. Satan sees how good I'm doing, so he wants to Oh yeah, you think you have a year clean and sober? Oh, you think that you got invited on to a podcast or little thing to speak your truth? You don't think I'm going to tear that down? And he definitely did this week. He tried to take that from me. Um, but he didn't win. Because I was supposed to do this last week. And but the truth of my husband's infidelity came out. And I had to get honest with him too, though. Like I hadn't been honest with him about some stuff. So I'm like, look, I don't plan on saying these things, but God has a way of doing things himself. And so I knew if I didn't get honest with him, and those were the things that I was kind of like holding on to. I was surrendering, but hadn't fully surrendered because I never spoke that truth. I never made amends for it. So I had to come truth with him. And then with that, he had to say some of his truth, and he had to say, and I had known for almost 4 years that he slept with her. He was lying to me. But knowing it subconsciously and then being spoke to you that it happened is two different things. And then all of this things I thought I had gave to God, like my self-worth and men, just wait, he really slept with her. I'm not worthy. Oh my gosh, like all of this started coming up, and I just know it was Satan doing this. Anxiety came up. I was having full-blown panic attacks last week. I kept saying I wanted my marriage restored. I wanted to still be in it, but Satan was telling me, no, you're an idiot. But Satan's not winning today. He's not gonna win. God is not finished with me yet. I am able to pour into women in recovery now. Just recently, right now, I was able to give part of my testimony to 3 women from the ARC program, the female side of it. I mean, he's doing so much in me. Like truly, my story is being used for his glory. Like it's it's crazy. I had to come from all of this at this age to know that if I would have just surrendered back then, but you know what? I wouldn't be who I am today. And I wouldn't have the story I have today to bring other women out of addiction, other women out of infidelity. Like I'm fighting infidelity stuff with my husband and myself. Like it's not just him, it's me. It's not just on him, it's on me too. But if I wouldn't have had that lifestyle and drug him through it, like there's tons of things, but God can restore. God will restore. I have to fully surrender this. And a lot of it helped out the week that we had our Seek week. I had never fasted. And that's where all of this, started coming to light. I had to really, I think doing this right here pushed me having to surrender some more and come amends as far as that goes. But, for today, I'm going just as hard for God as I did for Satan. I don't just do this on Sundays. I truly do this Monday through Sunday. I've had to do this for myself. I got very selfish. I was selfish before for the wrong reasons. I'm selfish for the right reasons. If I don't put God first, my marriage isn't going to get saved. My kids aren't going to be restored. So I truly, everything I do, I read, I pray. I can't believe I read the Bible. I can't believe I get on my knees and pray. But I do have a woman in church that pours into me. And I know I don't use her enough sometimes, but I'm so blessed to have Jennifer in my life. That woman, she doesn't necessarily know the addiction side, but she can pour into me, the women, loving women through the Bible. Like she pours biblically into me, and I need that. I think I need that more than I need a woman pouring or addiction. I know how to get out of addiction. I know all about it. I don't need someone telling me about addiction or how to get out of addiction. I need to do that for other women. I needed someone to pour into me biblically. I needed to biblically stand on something, and that's what Jennifer has done for me. There's a man in the church. He's like my big brother in Christ, Mike. He taught me what prayer life was. I didn't know what prayer life was. If it wasn't for Jennifer and Mike, Jennifer teaching me biblically what to do, and Mike teaching me that prayer life is it. I used to be on my knees for behavioral issues on rice. Now I'm on my knees for God. Like I had learned to kneel on the ground for hours crying to him, not because I had rice on my knees because I was doing something bad, but because I needed him to pour into me, because I needed to pour into him and have a relationship. I'm no longer cussing him out. I'm no longer hating him. I'm loving him. I'm loving who he's turning me into and who he's making me into be. But it's truly my story, but his glory.